Please join me. Oh, say, can you see my lawns early high? What's so proudly green there as the twilights last week? Whose prospects and bright stars bring the perilous by? For the ramparts we cross, we're so gallantly sweeping, and the rocket's red flame that was roasting in air gave proof of the night that a flag was still there. Oh, save us and stars, with the land and the pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Remain standing. We'll go forward and give some invitation.
Let us pray. Father, we thank you for this club and for the members to practice of service above self. We appreciate the food that you have provided for us today. Please bless it, the nourishment of our bodies, and this dear service. We ask in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Bill. Family of Rotary, tear up.
Thank you, President Allen. Short and sweet today, I guess June 9th, June 14th must be the two popular days of the month. So we have a pair of birthdays to celebrate on June the 9th, Robert Byrd, Troy Fountain, and we have a pair of anniversaries to celebrate on June 14th, Rod Steveman and Danielle, Dale Goodman, and Tim. Hope you all have a great week. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Introduction of guest visiting Rotarians. Brad Harris.
All right, we are happy to welcome our guests and visiting Rotarians today. When I call your name, please stand and remain standing until all visitors are recognized. First, we have Rhett Marcus. He is a guest of Paul Lee. He's been here before. Welcome back. He's also a Enterprise Rotarian. And then we also have Ron Wilson, who's a guest of the club. All right. Thank you both for attending today.
Thank you, Brad. Kev Haskell. Kyle. Mac Dickey.
Sir, 707.
Our total today is 1,956. Our lucky number is 707. 707.
All right, come on down. Luck of the Irish. You'll see how what we're trying to get here.
It's
Sure, it's in
You're back.
here. Stop.
6 o'clock.
Close. Six of clubs. Not quite base of spades. We'll try again next week. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, John. Just a couple of quick announcements. In the lobby, you'll find some Rotary koozies. Please take one. Conference. Front it says Rotary. It has Rotary logo and Club of Dothan. On the back, it has a 4-way test. And just a little bit of information. These were ordered through our Rotary suppliers, and this is designated the Rotary Club of Dothan. Period. Remember that. Please take one on your way out. Thank you. Reminder, we have a board meeting directly after this meeting up the hill. This will be our June board meeting. And for those who are baseball fans, what a great weekend it's been. From this area, I think we're representing the University of Georgia. Certainly Ole Miss. Looks like Alabama will probably be going to Omaha.
They are. They won a while ago.
And Troy University. Wow, I don't know if anybody went to. Out of all these schools, Troy would be designated as one of the 8 best baseball programs in the country. That's quite a distinction. And for anybody who actually wins, I'll give Troy an endorsement. That facility seats, I believe, capacity of a little under 3,000. On Saturday, there were a little over 7,000 tickets sold and people in the complex. And for anybody who went to testify, Troy did a phenomenal job pulling that super regional off with basically 2 to 3 days notice to put that together. So we'll give Troy a plug for that. And good luck to all of them. Well, mainly just one. At this time, I would like to turn the program over.
Good. Thank you, Alan. It's my pleasure to introduce my friend and colleague, Dr. Marty Olliff. And I'm going to begin by sandbagging a little bit. I underestimated my age. Instead of printing out his bio, I have it on my phone. Certainly I can see this just perfectly well to read this. And I'm going to struggle, I have to be honest. So I'll make the font as big as I can with fitting it on the screen. So if it looks like I'm reading this verbatim, I'm reading this verbatim, I'm sure. So Dr. Marty Olliff received his PhD from Auburn in 1998. He came to Dothan in 2002 as the founding director of the Wiregrass Archives at Troy University at the Dothan campus and as a professor of U.S. history. He claims to have retired in August 2025, and I don't believe it either because I see him every day, which makes his wife Liz roll her eyes at the obvious false. I agree with you, Liz. He has served as president of the Alabama Historical Association, the Alabama Association of Historians, Society of Alabama Archivists, the Alabama Folklore Association, and the Friends of the Alabama Archives. He has also served on the boards of the Alabama Historical Commission, the Alabama Governor's Mansion Commission, the Alabama Humanities Federation, closer to home, the Historic Chattahoochee Commission, Wiregrass Museum of Art, the Dothan Landmarks Foundation of Landmark Park. Marty's academic scholarship concerns Alabama during the early 20th century. His books include The Great War in the Heart of Dixie, Alabama during World War I, and Getting should be out of the mud or out of the mud?
Getting out of
the mud. I got out of the mud. Well, getting out of the mud. Alabama's Good Roads Movement in Highway Administration. He has published in multiple scholarly and popular journals on Alabama history and archival management. He is the author of the column It Came from the Archives on the Troy Today blog, host the Troy Public Radio podcast. He's also produced and hosted an Alabama history podcast. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Marty Olliff.
I want to thank you all for having me today. Thank you, Kurt, for those kind words that I wrote. Because they said, if you don't write us a bio note that we can use, we're going to make up stuff about you. So I don't mind that, but I think I'd rather make up stuff about myself. Anyway, I want to talk today, and we're coming up onto the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, so our minds are normally and naturally moving toward thoughts of history. History is a lot more, even the study of the past is a lot more than what we'll be celebrating specifically on America 250. So I wanted to bring in something that many people around here may not have thought much about, may not know much about, and some of that self-defense. There's nothing more intimidating to a professional historian who looks at books and the written word and images and occasionally talks to people than going into a community and telling that community about its history. I guarantee you that if you do this, there will be people who know this a whole lot better than you do out in the audience. So I did not want to subject myself to that, so I wanted to find something that I feel like many of you don't really know about. So you won't know if I'm right or wrong here. So humans are compulsive inventors. We're compulsive about it. This is probably what sets us apart from other intelligent animals, that we don't just use tools, but we invent tools, and we make complex tools. Now, I've had a long and vague idea of one of my thousands of projects that I can't die because I've got too many of them going on. I've got to finish at least a few of them. But I've had an idea about creating a list of U.S. patents garnered by people from the Wiregrass, the 9 counties of southeast Alabama. I've had this idea for a long time. But the visit of the Smithsonian Institution's Museum on Main Street exhibit entitled Spark, Places of Invention, to Landmark Park last August a year ago, 2025, sparked me into pursuing that list. So I conducted a very imperfect preliminary search of the U.S. patent database, and I turned up 477 patents in 9 counties in southeast Alabama between 1855 and 2025. Of these 477 patents, 235 are from either Houston County or places that became Houston County. So patents, let me make sure I do this correctly. Oh boy. Houston County patents show many of the same trends that Wiregrass regional patents show over time. And right now I want to say that individual practitioner tinkerers dominate invention across the face of all of these years from 1855. Patents also follow the economy and are tools, or they're patents for tools in agriculture, transportation, rural manufacturing, and later medicine, manufacturing, the service sector, and digital industries. As times change, so do the patents. Individual creators who receive patents are what we might think of as an ideal American inventor. That is, a solitary worker who comes up with a better mousetrap or an entirely new mousetrap. Like you see here, Thomas Edison in a classic photograph shown exhausted working on the phonograph. Some individual inventors, particularly in the 21st century, in the Dothan, Houston County area, have gone on to build businesses around their inventions. So let's look at some of the examples of the patents that I found. The oldest Houston County patent I located was this 1883 coffee filter awarded to John Raleigh of Columbia. Now, I don't know if Mr. Raleigh or any of the other Wiregrass inventors who came up with versions of coffee pots and coffee filters and things like that prospered from their work. But as a coffee junkie myself, I say they are blessed among us.
Yes.
This is a joke you're all supposed to like.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for your yes. The first patent that came from Dothan and note the spelling on the patent. Went to Arthur Snodgrass in 1894 for his lubricating head for an engine. This actually was a thing that pushed oil down into the cylinder to make the thing continue to work. Patents abounded for agriculture when it was the leading edge of the economy. I found 10 patents from 1907 to 1941, but only 4 patents from 1951 to 2002 in agricultural tools, coming from Dothan or Houston County. And in fact, those 4 came from 1951, 1962, 2000, and 2002. So the agricultural economy is not leading much anymore. It's set, it runs kind of by itself. Here are 2 of those earlier patents. L.B. Holman's 1925, and the title of it is Machine for Destroying Boll Weevils. It rides above the crop and sprays pesticide, which is relatively modern. Its forebears shook cotton stalks to knock weevils and infected bolls into pots of kerosene to poison. On the right, we see A.D. Hatton's rotary tedder for peanut harvesters from 1951. Hatton's improvements were that his machine didn't clog. Big deal. It was easy to manufacture and was a small attachment to a tractor rather than being self-contained or being a large attachment. Transportation also led the pre-World War II wiregrass economy. Between 1911 and 1928, I found 7 railroad patents created by inventors hoping to make rail travel and haulage easier and safer. Safer has to do with railroad couplings. Otho's Starling's 1911 rail coupler was fairly typical. Coupling cars was dangerous. For many years, a badge of honor for railway brakemen was missing a finger. Incremental improvements in automatic couplers flooded the patent office for literally decades. Bumpy rides and the difficulty of building effective shock absorbers for rail cars led to more than 1 local patent, at least 2 local patents, for what they called resilient wheels. When I first saw resilient wheels, I had no clue what that meant. So I actually had to look kind of deeply into the patents to try to figure out what they were talking about. And of course, the drawings. Well, I say, of course, the drawings help. Sometimes the drawings don't help. This 1914 wheel design that you see on the left was used, I'm sorry, it's the right. It used a hydraulic piston in each spoke. And it was one of 3 individual inventions that received patents by Benjamin Pilcher, longtime Dothan City Councilman and business and farmer. Then automobiles began our era of personal motorized transportation. Dothan inventors responded, garnering 4 patents from 1911 to 1927, and then 14 from 1950 to 2019. Let's look at a couple of early ones here. If you look to the left, Jamie Batchelor and Herbert Smith improved the efficiency of a 2-piston internal combustion engine. And in 1927, on the right, the eclectic John R. Keaton, a minister, insurance agent, businessman, truck and tire purveyor after World War I, devised an oil pressure gauge for cars and trucks. Other Houston County inventions for cars included internal tire gauges, carburetors, and all kinds of affiliated machinery, emergency signs, airbags, anti-theft devices, and there are a whole bunch of other inventions relative to automobiles, particularly after 1950. Lastly, in this early era, rural manufacturing, that is making machines that made products from agricultural products, also saw a number of inventions. Here we see Robert Helm's 1908 machine for sharpening grist mill stones more effectively than they had been sharpened before. And this is one of those drawings that may not be much help in in and of itself. There, for my taste, entirely too much going on here, which you have to do in patent building. After World War II, we see three trends emerge in these local patents. Corporations begin to sponsor research and development of new equipment and of new methods. You used to not be able to patent methods, but you are now able to patent methods and systems and things like that. Patents follow as the economy changes from agriculture and extractives to industrial manufacturing, service, and consumer goods. And although I don't have anything here like a graph or anything like that, I can say with confidence that the rate of invention has increased from 0.77. Sometimes historians have to do math. They told me there would be no math, but I found out there is. From 0.77 patents per year from between 1883 and 1945 to 1.13 patents per year from 1946 to 1984, and then a big jump after 1984 to 3.68 patents per year, and that includes all of the years, a diminishing number over the course of time in which we see 0 patents. So modern corporate R&D, after World War II, we find more patents that are assigned to corporations. This indicates to me that corporations sponsor research that leads to inventions. Hedstrom Union, Ansell Corporation under Ansell and many other names, Dunbarton Corporation and Sony all have multiple patents assigned to them. After 2012, Ansell outstrips the others in patenting the work of international research teams that include at least one member from Dothan. Of Ansell's 18 patents, 8 were produced by these multi-member international teams. We see 2 examples of corporate R&D before us here. On the left is one of 11 patents assigned to Hedstrom between 1954 and 1981. And it's a bicycle seat devised by a 3-person team that included Raymond Boucher and John Conti, whose name you may recognize. Dunbarton was assigned 7 patents between 1989 and 2021. They call themselves on their website, they call themselves on their website, your opening solution. And this patent, you see here, a door frame with adjustable gusset system, was from 2003 and was the product of a 6-person team of all locals. The only non-Dothan person was from Hartford on that team. Sony has 11 patents between 1986 and 2006, and interestingly, 9 of those 11 patents come from individual inventors, not teams. Individual inventors also dominate another leading edge of Dothan, Houston County's economy, that is medicine. Of the 25 patents that I've identified as medical, 17 are created by lone inventors, you might call them, and only 8 are assigned to a corporation. So these are people building on spec. Medical patents run the gamut from, on the left, Fernie Johnston's 1973 plate to repair an elbow fracture, to William Kahn's 3 patents for handling and implanting radioactive pellets, to Greg Soifer's 2021, and this is the title of the patent you see on the right, System for Remotely Monitoring Patients' Oxygen Therapy. This is one of 6 patents that Dr. Soifer. Included here in this medical patent group are medicines, actually physical medicines, recipes, digital monitoring methods, telemedicine gadgets, and bunches of orthotics. Even though there's a post-World War II trend of corporation-driven research and research teams, one thing that has remained constant across the face of our entire period under discussion here is that of the lone inventor creating gizmos on spec, coming up with ideas, building prototypes, getting them patented. These include household items that range from shoe sole cleaners to wireless CATV transmitters, before we have all of the extremely modern technology, sports devices like a 360-degree tree stand, and a multitude of personal devices. Two examples you see here of this idea of individual researchers and patent designers getting patents for things that they just came up with is Bobby Joe Kennedy's 2019, this is on the left, Air Me Pad, a personal fan that can attach to ball cap visors, and on the right, Eulinda Bynum's tracking bandage assembly. I had to think twice before putting this one in because I really wasn't sure what was going on with it at first, and the more I looked at it, the more I liked it. It hides a GPS tracking chip inside of a realistic-looking Band-Aid made even more realistic by the application of fake blood on it, so that whoever's searching you when they kidnapped you then is a little reluctant to start peeling Band-Aids off. Some lone inventors have delayed their patents into ongoing business ventures, and here at the last, I want to talk about two of these people. And if y'all are in the room today, the people I'm calling out are in the room today, then you can count this as free advertising. One is Brittany McKenzie, who received her first patent in 2022 for her delicate garment washing bag that she had named the Boob Bag, undoubtedly because its innovation is its interior strip, you can see it on the right, for attaching bras securely in place. Now, I subjected my wife to a reading of this yesterday, and she made me stop at this point and asked me why I had not bought her one. Ms. McKenzie has a second, so I'll be buying one. Ms. McKenzie has a second patent for an updated design and has an ongoing business selling these things online. I mean, seriously, look for boob bag on .com and it's right there. Probably the most well-known of these recent individual inventors who have done very well for themselves is the second example. This ideal lone inventor is Travis Perry, who patented his cord buddy in Dothan in 2013 with an improvement of second patent in 2014. And these are illustrations from those two distinct patents, which can run 35 pages, so I didn't put it all. His purpose was to make it possible for guitar students to master simple chords and tunes before they gave up in frustration. And he knew that at 2 months, people gave up because they couldn't get tunes playing. And having been forced to take piano lessons, I guarantee you that's exactly what happened. Very successfully appeared on Shark Tank, and Chord Buddy is still going strong. Of note about Mr. Perry's Chord Buddy is that he built 17 prototypes before making his first patent application, with each of those prototypes costing $1,500 each. So as we're looking at America 250, remember that there's more to America than just the signing of the Declaration of Independence, and I hope you all will be thinking about that. At the beginning, I said invention is a human compulsion, and looking at all of these patents, and particularly looking at the 17 prototypes at $1,500 each that Travis Perry did, invention might be a compulsion, but it ain't cheap. Thank you very much.
Questions?
Questions? Snide remarks? Anybody who's asleep can wake up? Yes.
Share a little bit about the archives out at Floyd Dothan.
Sure.
I think people would be surprised what your department has done to archive things that goes on here in Houston County and the Wiregrass area.
Well, thank you for giving me this opportunity, and your checks in the mail. The Wiregrass Archives began as a differently named organization. Wiregrass Archives as a name has only existed since 2019. We began as the Archives of Wiregrass History and Culture in 2002. Actually, we began in 1999 with the promise of getting Representative Terry Everett's Washington office records. And built around that collection, I was hired in 2002 as really the founding director. We collect from a wide variety of types of records and types of manuscripts. We are there to identify, preserve, and make available records and manuscripts, paper, photographs, some artifacts, many computer files that document the human history of the wiregrass. And that's wiregrass broadly defined, 9 counties in southeast Alabama, counties in southwest Georgia, counties in North Florida. We cover a turf of about 30 counties. We don't collect heavily in those 30 counties, but we'll accept collections from those 30 counties. We tend not to collect official records of governmental entities, but we do collect business records, records of individuals, your papers that you have around the house, photograph collections. We've been getting lots of those recently as people go through their photographs and they go through their grandparents' photographs and say, what do I do with these? I can't throw them away. Well, give them to me. And we have records that range from photographs that we've collected from the community, 1 and 2 at a time, to we have some collections that run 180 cubic feet, 180 record boxes worth. We have the collections of the National Peanut Festival. So if you're looking for records from National Peanut Festival, we have what exists. I think the last session we got was around 2015 from them, so their records are building up. We have SEACT records, we have the Historic Chattahoochee Commission records, we have Dothan Landmarks Foundation records, we have records of all kinds of individuals. We received 135 African American funeral brochures from a lady in Geneva County in a special program that we had developed for the community. But let me say that we are, you hear about a university archives, and I came from the Auburn archives. I was the assistant university archivist there. One of my frustrations with the archives at Auburn was that we collected a little bit in the community, but a lot of things inside the university, which, makes perfect sense. But I wanted to be a community archivist. So when I was hired as the archivist, I made it very clear that Troy University Dothan campus was too small to make full-time work out of collecting the records of that particular campus of the university. So I wanted to reach out to the community. And we collect community records primarily. There is an archives at Troy in the library. It's been severely underfunded and severely undertended for most of Troy's history, but we have a good, solid archivist now and have had for a few years, but he focuses primarily on collecting material about Troy University, okay? And I focus on collecting the material at Troy University Dothan campus and about the community of Southeast Alabama, North Florida, and Southwest Georgia. So if you're beginning the process of wondering what to do with your own records, you're beginning the process of wondering why you volunteered to become the family historian. Oh, wait, I'm talking about myself. And so suddenly you have a bunch of records. If you're cleaning out your grandparents' attic and you run across a bunch of stuff you don't know what to do with, and of course you're hot, and you're tired, and you're rushed because you're trying to sell the house, don't put them on the curb. By the way, I have 3 or 4 collections that I picked up from the curb, including a bunch of of military certificates from a fellow in my neighborhood. You know, like his rank and the medals he won, you know, those certificates that the soldiers get. Anyway, don't put them out on the curb. Give me a call, and we'll see what we can do. Thank you very much.
This time I'd like Terry Duffy to come forward. Greg, good to have you back.
Good to be back. No place like home.
Yes, sir.
This really kind of has to do with Greg. If you remember, back before Greg took off on his trip, on his 500-mile trek on the El Camino Walk, we were challenged by Bruce McNeil to donate up to any amount per mile. And there were a lot of questions of, would he make the 500 miles? And he did, you know. Even if you had donated for half, I mean, if he'd walked 250, you still would have got the 500. He would have had to walk back, I guess. But it's glad to have Greg back. And the thought was absolutely, I think, perfect of trying to raise some extra funds out of this club to do some important things. Camp Aspen, we had a program on that about the time that Greg was leaving, and the importance of Camp Aspen. And of course, we all challenged everybody every week to buy a ticket. It's ironic that I got the ticket today. Didn't get the right card, but Camp Aspen, this is kind of a time where a lot of funds are needed up there. Demand is up there because they have all these campers coming in for the summer. And I noticed that, you know, we've had another group here in town, the Dothan Elks Lodge. Michael Maddox, seeing Michael made me think the Dothan Elks Lodge this month has pledged their effort in support of trying to raise money for Camp Aspen. I don't know if you knew that, Bob, but they jumped on the bandwagon. The other part of this was the Dothan Miracle Field, which is a gym that we all were a part of. Recently, I was out there with one of my grandsons looking at it, and the place needs some love. I'm gonna tell you, it really does, and it's gonna be a shame for us to let that gym out there get tarnished and not being helped. So that would be part of the money. And then, of course, the last thing is very dear to Bruce's heart and Dale Goodwin is the Rotary Foundation Legacy Campaign. So if you feel it in your heart to write and pledge them out, I mean, a dime, 25 cents, $1, he wouldn't be upset if he did $5 per mile. But he's the real deal. Greg, come on up here because I didn't know I was going to do this. I walked in and gave this to Heather, and then they gave you the check back. And usually people don't get it. But here's my $500. I pledged $1 a mile. Congratulations. Glad you're back, and I'm glad you're safe. So y'all doing it. We're doing my credit card, a white check, or a QR code. So there's several different ones. So just think about that this week if you get a moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry, Greg. Just a reminder, we'll have a board meeting immediately following this meeting. It'll be our June board meeting. Remember, complimentary Rotary koozies. Pick them up on your way out. Next week, our program will be Ryan Brooks, Senior Vice President, General Counsel, for Construction Partners, brought to us by Colby Curtis. This time, I'd like to thank all the guests and visitors. Appreciate everyone being here today. Will, let's rise and say the following test. Of faith, we think, say, do.
Concern will build goodwill and better friendships, will be beneficial to all concerned.
See everyone next week.